Hello, and welcome to Immigrant Magazine Weekly on TIMTV, where we share the immigrant perspective on breaking news and stories of importance to the growth of our communities. And the best in all things immigrant. First of its kind, I might add. For those of you who haven't subscribed yet, now would be a good time to click on the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Also, make sure you press the like button so that YouTube will share our videos. Please welcome Asha Joshi, a managing director at a global investment firm which she joined in 1994. Asha is a member of the firm's Investment Policy Committee and Board of Directors. She is a senior portfolio manager serving institutional clients including public plans, corporations, universities, and endowments. She also chairs the firm's Best Execution Committee. Asha currently serves as chair on the board of the California Council on Economic Education. She also serves on the advisory board of UCLA Anderson's Social Impact Center. Welcome to Immigrant Magazine Weekly, and we're here to talk about something historical that happened just recently, the appointment of Senator Kamala Harris. You're going to correct me there, but Kamala Harris as a potential VP candidate now and potential vice president if all goes well in November. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling great about it. Let me say thank you for having me on your show. And you pronounced Kamala's name perfectly. It's Kamala, equally emphasized, each syllable.
Yes.
And it means lotus.
Correct.
So I have friends who say lotus to POTUS.
I know. Look at my eyes just popped. Lotus to POTUS. And you told me the middle name means something even more special.
Yes, her full name is Kamala Devi Harris, and Devi means goddess.
Ah, well, the goddess becomes POTUS.
Yes. Lotus to goddess to POTUS.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about Kamala, okay? And she comes with a mixed bag, as we know. So, but I wanted the audience to first of all get to know you a little bit, your ethnic origins.
Yes, I'm from India. I grew up in South India.
Okay.
Also, not in Chennai, where Kamala's mother was from, but a neighboring state called Karnataka.
Mm-hmm.
And we South Indians feel like we have our own unique subculture, even within India. So yeah, we're very pleased and proud that one of our own is going to be in the White House.
That's amazing. So what is the pulse right now in the community, regardless of political party? We know historically, people take sides, people are tribalistic and they take sides for various reasons. But what is the pulse like having Kamala as the first South Asian at this level of growth and rise in the political spectrum and the power positions in this country? What's the pulse like in your community?
I think overall there's a pride for sure. But I will say I do get some comments of skepticism from some people, and on two levels. One, is she really embracing her Indian roots? Does she embrace her Indian roots? We have not seen any evidence of that. And then the other is a more of a political statement, Indian political statement, that both she and Biden don't really support India, specifically with some recent political moves by Narendra Modi. They feel like if you don't support Modi, you don't support India, that sort of thing.
Wow. So there's that sentiment. Is it most Indians that feel that way? Because I know most countries, typically everyone doesn't just support the leadership. There's always some discontentment. It'll be interesting to find out if there are some Indians who feel like maybe the challenge that they pose to Modi is validated.
Yeah, it's a complex situation, Pamela. The majority of Indians support Modi,
Okay.
really strongly.
Mhm.
There are some people who are more secular minded, who are unhappy with some of the this new CAA, which is a controversial act, where it's considered discriminatory against Muslims, and refugees and things like that. So the more progressive side of India is against that. And the interesting thing is in the U.S., Indian Americans are predominantly supporters of the Democratic Party, but there are some that support Trump because they think Trump loves India more,
That's interesting.
because he has this relationship with Modi.
Yeah.
So it's a little complex, but I do think by and large the Indian community will support Kamala and Biden. I do believe that. And with regard to her not being Indian enough or whatever, I think it's unfortunate for her because the Black community thinks she's not Black enough. The Indian community thinks she's not Indian enough. It's like, come on, guys, give her a break.
When you're mixed.
To me, she represents America, which is what I love most about America. It's e pluribus unum, out of many, one,
Yes.
and she epitomizes that, and I love that.
I would think that that is what everybody would embrace. But like you just stated, apparently maybe the foreign policy would be the bone of contention. But I'm thinking about what we as people of color are facing at this time with this administration, regardless of political affiliation. I think this is an interesting time, don't you think? Or would you hope that that would overshadow, whatever reticence or hold back that the community might have towards her?
Yeah, and I don't know whether people get that personal with her. I think she's so charming too. I think she's going to charm them. But most of the Indian, or not most, but the majority of the Indians here are, well educated and scientifically literate. So I would imagine that they'll be less inclined to support the current administration from that standpoint, which seems to be, not as supportive of science.
Okay. Now, as a South Asian woman, what are your thoughts about what this impact would be on your women folk, women of South Asian descent right now? What does this mean for them?
Yeah, that would be very interesting to see. I think they will be more confident, I would imagine, and they'd feel there's some sort of simpatico with the White House, and this feeling of great possibility. I think young girls will feel it. My daughter will feel it. She's already feeling it. The sense of possibility. And I know that I've read that in India, there's a bunch of articles about how impressed Indians are with America and saying how incredible this land is, the land of opportunity. So I think in a way, it has absolutely catapulted America's standing in India from that standpoint, that anything is possible in this land of opportunity.
That is very interesting, and I'm hoping that that would translate. Because for me, I'm just speaking as a woman and speaking to another woman and having this woman emerge.
Yes.
Regardless of what you think, I think that as women, we should support. But there's also the sense that women have a challenge supporting female candidates. And so I don't know whether this time around it'll be different given where we are. If we look at the problems that we're facing as people of color, the systemic racism and all the things that have occurred, I'm hoping that maybe people would think further. Look at immigration, the children in the cages. Don't you think that maybe this is time for us to galvanize as women to not support her because she's a woman? Of course, you got to be qualified. But what do you say to that?
Oh gosh, I do hope that we're past that, but I have to admit, I have been disappointed in the past with some of the electorate from that standpoint. But I agree with you. I don't think we should vote for her just because she's a woman, just because she's Black, just because she's Asian American, whatever. I think she's brilliant. I think she's achieved so much on her own, and it's not easy being elected to office in one of the largest states in the country. Come on. And so she's incredible. And I think, honestly, you're absolutely right. As immigrants, and I'm an immigrant, and you're an immigrant, I have so much admiration for her mother, who came here in 1958 when there were only 12,000 Indians in America, all of America.
Wow.
So can you imagine? She came on her own, which is very unusual. Even now, like my contemporaries, most of the women have come here and, got married and came here with their husbands. She came to study, and I relate to her because I came here to study, but I came in 1980. And it was bad enough then, Pamela. Imagine what it must have been like in 1958. People, they must have been kind and warm and all those things, but completely unaware of the culture from which she came. People asked me, and they shared with me that they thought, oh, India, incense, sitar, drugs, free love.
No way.
That is the image in the 60s.
Yeah.
The hippies and
I don't believe it. Well, it just depends on who you're talking to, because if you asked me, coming from Africa, when we thought about India, we thought about the beautiful Bollywood films and the love and the romance and all the beautiful women. So it just depends on who you're talking to. I don't know about the hippies, but
for me, coming from my background, just so conservative. Indians, they're so conservative. There's segregation of the sexes practically. And then to think about Indians as, free love and drugs, and it's just, what do you do with that?
Just to reconcile that. It's so funny because we're talking about this women thing. Well, by the same token that we don't want people to vote for her just because she's a woman, we also don't want people to not vote for her because she's a woman.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, so that'll be a shame. So now let me ask you this question about her, Kamala, as the child of an immigrant who has really broken, and would you say, you tell me that she shattered the glass ceiling in a way for immigrants and immigrant women and even women in general and Black women and Asian women. Like, she's just done so much shattering of into pieces and pieces. What are your thoughts about what this does for our children that are born here? I know Barack Obama did it before as a man, as a Black man, but Kamala is doing it. She's one of so many first.
Yes.
For the children of immigrants.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think, I think that's what it says. And it's if she does win, which I very much hope she will, it will be like what happened when Obama won. I think there was this almost like this feeling of renaissance in America, that this is the greatest country on the planet, right? And I feel like we've taken some steps back this last few years, and hopefully we can restore that feeling. So it's not necessarily a new thing, it's just more of a restoration of what I think we kind of sort of had.
What this country has always been about, right?
Yeah, and that's what I, sometimes I feel sad and I feel like, wait, this is not the country I came to.
Correct.
I left India for this great beacon, amazing country that I adored and admired, and I still do.
Yeah.
And America is an idea, right? It's an ideal. And I love that about America. And when I see what we've been seeing these last few years, it hurts. It really hurts. We
You
need.
know, when you talk about Kamala's mom coming here to pursue, she was a scientist, I think,
Yeah.
biologist, I think, or something
Mhm.
like that. And she came here to pursue this higher education. I mean, would she have imagined that today her daughter would be in this realm? You know, I know how her mom is of blessed memory. What do you feel as a mother, you know, seeing Kamala rise to this threshold, and how does that impact young Indian girls, especially back in India, where we know, like most of our countries, that women, you know, sometimes are not allowed to soar as much as they can.
Right. Um, I can relate to her mother. I know that culture. She came from a very well educated Brahmin family from Chennai. And clearly, in that family, women were not treated as less, right? Her own father allowed her to go to America and pursue her career. And I think they embraced her even after she married a black man, which
I
is
know.
very unusual for Indians. Um, and um, and I think they were loving. They still are. Her aunts are very loving and embraced her. So I think in that sense, I don't know whether they fit that stereotype of the Indian, suppressed Indian woman. So I would say, I would think if I could channel her mother, um, I would think her mother would say, "Well, it's about time."
I know. It did. Well, that's well said. But what about what this says to other Indian families about the potential of what your daughter could be?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's just it's what. So the first when we first came, the first generations that came put their heads down, study, 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 work, work, work hard, climb the ladder, become a doctor, become an engineer. I always say, I always make this kind of tongue in cheek, but not really. It's like if you're an Indian, you have three career choices. Okay,
Yeah.
doctor, engineer, loser.
Oh no. Doctor,
That's
engineer, and that's it.
loser. Yeah, if you're not a doctor, you're not an engineer, you're a loser. So I think this expands it, and you've seen the next generation of Indians actually embracing that. There's so many of them now that are in Congress, the Senate, running for office. It's just fabulous to see that, and I think this is just going to just perpetuate that groundswell of support and the sense that it's doable, and I think a sense of responsibility too. Like I need to do this to stop sitting and complaining, right? Just like Kamala's mother told her, don't
Yeah.
complain, do something. I think that message I think will come through, and I've seen it in the younger generation. They're getting more involved.
Quite the trailblazer. So let's talk about the last comments here. Come run, trying to wrap this up. I'm enjoying this conversation so much, but what would you tell the South Asian community right now about how important this moment is and why they ought to maybe rethink certain positions?
I would say, please take a bigger picture.
Mhm.
Nobody's perfect. Everybody's got different sense of um, what a person should be, if they're going to be a leader, but they may not be exactly in the mold that you imagine. But at this point, it would be wonderful if you could take the bigger picture and support her and trust that she has that Indianness in her DNA, and I don't mean literally her DNA, in her mind. She's been raised in that value system.
Correct.
And I think that's very important. And another thing I would say very strongly to my South Asian community is, don't forget that we owe a great, great, great debt of gratitude to the African American community, to the civil rights activists like Kamala and her family, because it was the landmark 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act. It's because of that we are even here and able to be here in this country. Because they got rid of the quota system, which was favoring white immigration. So it was 1965 that brought a conscience to this country, racial conscience to this country. And shame on us if we don't know that and acknowledge that and respect that and appreciate that.
Well, you have ended this conversation on the best note. I will not want to adulterate it. I will leave it as such, from your lips to everyone else's ears. And it's thanks to that movement that most of us are here and enjoying this freedom. So thank you so much, Asha. Promise me that you will come back for another round of this conversation, maybe on something else. You will?
Do it. Enjoyed it very much. Thank you, Pamela.
It's been a pleasure, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me on the Immigrant Magazine Weekly. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. We've come to the end of our show. I hope you enjoyed it. And if so, please share your opinions with me in the comment section or send me an email at publisher@immigrantmagazine.com. I hope that you will subscribe and invite others to subscribe to this new and revolutionary channel, TIMTV, Voice of Immigrants in America. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Pam Anchang, and like us on Facebook, The Immigrant Magazine. See you next time on Immigrant Magazine Weekly.